Hello, everybody, and welcome again to the TTVJ Audio YouTube channel. We still have Stan Beal here with us, and we're going to talk about what really made AudioQuest famous, and that is their cables. They make an enormous number of cables for all occasions, all price points, analog, digital, TV, audio, video. They make a cable for everything, really. They make turntable cables. It's a lot.
And we've been doing it 45 years and it seems to have worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are still going. Actually, you're going probably stronger than ever with the Mythical Creatures line, which is what we're going to talk about now, which is your top of the line products. You have your mythical horses, your Black Beauty and your Pegasus.
You like those names, do you?
I do. And
Pegasus has wings.
yes, just like Red Bull.
Like Red Bull.
So anyway, I've bought and used a lot of the Black Beauty and Pegasus in my sort of my mid high end. It's still very expensive stuff and all that, and it really blended in well. I used to have Earth, Wind, and Fire cables.
And their records.
Yes. Most certainly, they were a good band. But tell me what was improved, because there was definitely an improvement over those cables with the Black Beauty and the Pegasus over the previous models.
And we kind of talked about this earlier, and Bill Lowe, the founder of our company and still our primary designer of our cables, we don't change a model just to have a new model. There has to be some sort of material or application or something we can do to a cable to improve it and create a new generation. So when we replaced Earth, Wind, and Fire, and there was water at the bottom of that, kind of what we call the elements, there was some new technology that we started. It's not necessarily new technology, but new applied technology to our cables, what we call Zero Tech. Okay. And that Zero Tech is something that we put in both the Mythical Horses and the Mythical Creatures, the Thunderbird, Firebird, and Dragon cables. And the reason why we call it Zero Tech is the idea is to eliminate the interaction of the insulators between the positive and negative conductors. And in a nutshell, what that means: greater dynamics, quieter cable. So what you're hearing when you added those Black Beauties in, probably for the first time, was hopefully the change in dynamics, and also the ability again to just bring that noise floor down to bring you closer to the music.
So there's less crosstalk within the cable.
Well, it's that characteristic impedance that prevents some of that high current from passing through the cable and really limits some of the dynamic range. So,
I heard it, and it made a nice difference. It really brought things a little bit more to life. And then I made the mistake of buying some Thunderbird cables, and which then of course leads to
Wait,
Firebird.
Did he say mistake? Can we edit that out?
Well, it's a mistake when you're paying for it. It's not a mistake when you're listening to it. It's great, and it makes great bling, huh?
Yeah.
So this is Dragon. Oh, try to get this off me now.
Exactly.
But just fabulous stuff. It really took your high-end cables up really 2 notches. It didn't just go up a little bit. It was considerably noticeable, and once you hear it, if you can afford it, it becomes a no-brainer. Affording it's another thing. I mean, anything that's good in high-end audio costs, and it costs a lot, but it is beautiful stuff.
And the thought is kind of behind our philosophy with AudioQuest is, so imagine that we're using this great technology, Zero Tech. How do we make that applicable to a wider range of products? Mm-hmm. So we know at Dragon and Dragon pricing that people should certainly have Zero Tech, but the idea of bringing in Black Beauty was we had a choice, because the model that replaced had a technology called DBS, which we'll also talk about here shortly. But the Black Beauty didn't have the DBS, but it didn't matter because adding the Zero technology was such a huge advancement. And that was the price point that we could take that technology and offer it, so people can hear it in a wider range of products, and you certainly can offer it to a wider range of your customers.
And it's certainly far more affordable than the Dragon. I mean, you get a lot with the Black Beauty. So what if you had to pick one of these 5, Black Beauty, Pegasus, Thunderbird, Firebird, Dragon? What do you think is the sweet spot?
Probably one of the really strong sweet spots is Pegasus, and the reason why I say that is one of the beautiful parts of bling around your neck is patented technology. It is patented to AudioQuest called DBS, dynamic biasing. And the idea is that with Pegasus, that's the one technology that's still fairly expensive for us to include in the full architecture of the speaker as a finished product. And when you go from Black Beauty and we add in go to Pegasus, one of the largest things that we're adding is, for the extra money, is that DBS, which is going to take the cable and make it, again, even quieter and really bring down that noise floor.
And it does. I have both of them, and the Pegasus is better than the Black Beauty, but the Black Beauty was very good. I was very impressed by it.
And I want to add one thing, if I could,
Sure.
and something too. Sometimes people buy like Black Beauty for a home theater, and oftentimes home theater is 3 cables, right, for center channel or whatever.
Right.
Certainly, any of our cables are also available in half pairs.
Sure.
So we offer a wide range of lengths. We can custom make lengths, and then we can also offer half pairs. So oftentimes people buy 3 cables or 1.5 pairs. So.
Yep. What metals are being used in, say, Black Beauty, Pegasus? What's the difference in the metal?
Yeah, and typically our cables are either going to be copper, or we're going to utilize the best copper we have, or our best silver. So at the copper level, we're going to use what we call Perfect Surface Plus, which is our best copper. And then when we start to get into Firebird, my bling.
Mine's pretty.
Yeah. With Firebird and Dragon, this is where we start to offer solid core conductor silver. And I just want to point out that one of the reasons that costs here, when you get to this level of cable, the conductors inside are solid core conductors, copper, silver. They're not silver plated. It's pure silver all the way through as a solid conductor, which obviously, silver you buy by the ounce and copper you buy by the pound. So it really changes the price equation when you get to this level. And we do know that silver is the best conductor.
Yes.
So it's probably really the quietest metal.
So as far as the metals go, what about the casing, the dielectrics that you use to shield the good innards from the bad outers?
Yeah, I like that. Well, and as I mentioned earlier, we don't change a model unless there's new materials. And one of the materials that have come up since then is called graphene mesh. And graphene is a very, oftentimes in the past we've used layers of carbon, right? That will take the noise, absorb it, and turn it to heat. Graphene is even thinner, and we can do a graphene mesh, and we can offer many more layers and not add substantial thickness to the overall cable, like in some of our previous models that were thicker just because carbon as a material was thicker.
And it makes it harder to work with. The graphene makes it a lot easier especially when you're my age, behind a stereo trying to plug stuff in and
right.
out. The good old days.
Yeah.
But yes, they are easier to work with, and I've noticed that. Just fabulous cables. So, what about the 72 volt DBS?
So and again, starting with where we start to see Pegasus, anything with DBS, and this is a patented technology, and it's been part of AudioQuest for many, many years. Started at a level of 24 volts, then went to 36 volts, then to 48 volts. Currently, we're at the 72 volt level, and I don't think we'll ever exceed that because of UL approval. But anything with DBS, the bottom line is it's going to make the cable quieter, and again, lower the noise floor, music's going to rise to the top, but it adds an electrostatic charge to the conductor, or to the insulator around the conductor to minimize the interaction between the signal and the insulation or dielectric, sorry. And bottom line is it's just going to make it quieter. We're also able to add a RFI radio frequency trap at the end to help reduce the airborne noise even further that a non-DBS cable
These
doesn't
things
have.
last a long time.
Yeah, because it's not a full circuit, it's only connected at one end at the battery end. It's not a closed circuit. Typically between 5 and 7 years is the life of the battery, and the batteries inside are a common battery that you could go to, Home Depot or Lowe's. Oftentimes, same type of batteries you use for a garage door opener.
All I know is in my experiences using everything from Black Beauty, Pegasus, Thunderbird. I haven't used Firebird, but I have used Dragon. And I have Dragon now between my phono stage and my preamp, and it took my vinyl up a whole level, which was surprising because Dragon's made out of silver, correct?
Yes, and really one thing that we focus on the Dragons are the silver drain wires that really even again just allow that more, hopefully you heard a more 3D experiencing and
Yes.
heard a greater amount of depth for imaging and left to right and also top to bottom.
Right, because in my past with some cables I found silver to be a little glary and stuff, but I heard none of that when I switched it in. It was I wouldn't have been able to tell it was silver. I would have thought it was copper, in that there was no glare, and yet there was that expansive sound stage. There was a blackness between notes. There was it really because the turntable rig I have sounded great before. I was very happy with it.
Good. We like happy customers.
And then I put this in, and I was even happier.
Happier. You didn't think you could be happier,
No.
but you did. Yeah. That's a good thing.
And with silver cable.
Yeah. I don't need to be touchy with the host here, but one of the things to point out too is though the connectors too that we use. Every
Yes.
connector on there is AudioQuest design. They're not off-the-shelf connectors. They're designed by us. And the materials that go into there and the fact that we copper plate and silver plate, this is a good way to keep the noise out too at the connection. So there's a lot of reasons for the way the connectors are, the way they fit, that ultimately leads to that sound that you experience.
Dragon over Firebird.
You choose.
Yeah, I'll take the Dragon. So great stuff. It really
Thank
is.
you.
The job that Bill is doing, it's really showing up very vividly in the sonics of my system, and I like it very much.
Well, you always know that, again, if we introduce new generation of cables, it's like getting to the peak of that mountain, trying to get to the top, which you never do. Is oftentimes you'll hear Bill say, but just trying to get a little closer to the music at every step.
Yeah, it's really improved. I've been a dealer now for quite a while, but the line has really leapfrogged far ahead of what it was before, and it was good before. Don't mistake, don't take that as any kind of rip on the old stuff. It's just, wow, the new stuff really just is fantastic.
Right combination of the right materials and the right cables.
Yeah. Hope 10 years from now we're talking again, and boy, we really do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a whole new generation of cables, and we're talking about some even more improvements, but you can't go wrong with these cables, folks. They really are fantastic. They are Black Beauty is accessible. It's affordable. Dragon is very expensive. It's really aimed at the ultra high end when you're trying to get the best out of your system. It's important. And I've always looked at interconnect cables as well as speaker cables and all that. Some people consider it an accessory or something, but it really, truly, in my mind, is an important component in a system. It's as important as your preamp, your amplifier, your phono stage, your cartridge, your turntable, your DAC, your whatever you have. Without great cables, without cables that will deliver the same quality that your components have, you really shortchange what you've spent on components.
And at AudioQuest, and thank you, that sums it up very well. We never say that the cables can make your system better. Anytime you add cables add noise and harm, or harm your system. All we try to do is design cables and use the materials that actually introduce less harm. And again, the ultimate goal, bring you closer to the music.
Thank you once again.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching and listening.